So, second day of searching, we are in the Jordan Valley. As you can see, this is the Jordan over there. The barley here is shattered, which means that this was in the state of Aviv quite a while ago, a week or two. I mean, we had a heat wave. I mean, it all depends on how much rain you had. All of this was wheat. All this was barley. This entire area was full of barley. You know, and the reality is, if this is also very sun oriented, this field, and with the very low amount of rain we had, and with the fact that we have low rain, we had strange weather with hot, cold. You can see this barley is not very high either. This barley is 25 centimeters high, which indicates that it got very little rain. And the moment it went dry, we got this. This is very, very low. This is, as I said, I posted on Facebook. As I said, it affects it. This barely came out of the boot, by the way. You can see this. This one barely came out of the boot. And it's inside. You can see I was able to pop it, but this shattered because of the fact that it basically, you can see it pops out. You can still even see some liquid. It shattered because it just went dry. Because that's what happens. It wants to survive, so it dies. It stops producing, and it dies out. Now, south of here, more close to Jericho, it's dead there. There's nothing there. So, which is expected, because the Jericho area, unless you get really close to the city and to the spring, the area around it is not really for agriculture. You get close to the city, there's a spring there's much more water, and then you can grow. But all of this area this is shattered. All around us, it's grazed as well. I mean, that's shattered as well. But this area last year was full of barley. So we're seeing, we were driving down from Jerusalem, east of Jerusalem, towards the Jordan Valley. Everything is grazed. We saw a lot of animals on the way here. We expected this. If there was more rain, this would be in the state of Aviv. But as you can see, it stunted its growth because of the fact that there was almost no rain, and then it went hot and cold, which messes around with the plant cycle, and you end up with shattered grains, early shattered grains, which means if anyone would harvest this, would have harvested this like 2 weeks ago or something, maybe less. Okay, so we're in Wadi Talkid, beautiful area. One of the years I actually ended the videos here. It's a beautiful pastoral area. We do have barley. Again, same situation. There was less rain in this area as well, even though this area is a bit healthier. The barley is still very low. This one's kind of high. It's in the state of Aviv, the ones who successfully grew. But this is shattered again because of the fact that there wasn't enough rain. So everything's very low. Almost the entire area is grazed, except for a few points here and there. So we have enough to kind of understand what happened here. But the more serious areas over there have been completely grazed by the animals. We sold them. If this was a more ideal year, this will be very close to harvest. As you can see, some of this is still coming out of the boot. It stopped growing because of the fact that it couldn't grow. There wasn't rain, so there was no point for it to try to grow. But the bits and pieces we've checked here indicate they're empty. This one, for example, is not empty. It actually has a very small grain inside. And again, this is what you do every year. You check, you look, you try to understand what's going on in each area, and you work based on that. So sure, if there was more rain and there wasn't any grazing, we would find plenty of barley. You can see even here, barley still in the boot. Some of this is barley, some of it isn't. And obviously these beautiful flowers that grow here every year. But yeah, in an ideal year, this would have been harvestable barley. But not enough rain. Again, this is wild barley, so people would use this more for grazing, not for eating, because really would bring it from proper fields, cultivated fields. That's where they would harvest. But because barley is only about 2% of the grains here in Israel, because barley is considered to be a low protein type of grain, so it's worth less than wheat, and we all see that in the Bible, in the Book of Kings. They sell barley half the price of wheat, and so there is Aviv here, but conditions are not ideal. Okay, this is our favorite field up in the north of the checkpoint. Some of it is shattered. This grew much nicer. It's much taller. You can see much nicer grains. Absolutely beautiful, some of this. But this field has been harvested for animal feed. So they have rules. If you start harvesting in March, it's for animal feed. If you harvest in April, it's for human consumption. I'm trying to get this into the zoom. There's a grain inside. It's very small because again, they didn't have enough rain here. Some of the heads are shattered. Some of the heads are still even green in some situations. But this would be considered Aviv, and maybe even a little bit after. This area has, this stuff is Aviv. It's much taller as well. Some of these grains are higher. So again, difference of rain. Rain makes all the difference. It's a beautiful area. There's the road. There's Jericho. There's Jordan. But they harvested here, so here we'll have volunteer grain because they've planted barley here before, so that would be volunteer barley. What we saw earlier, what we saw in Northern Negev, was wild barley. So this is volunteer barley because they've planted barley here in the past. So just to make definitions clear, volunteer barley, at least in the U.S., the definitions are volunteer barley is barley that's aftergrowth from previous harvesting, and volunteer and wild is just what grows wild. So we are just outside of Beit She'an, near the train station. There's a construction site here, so I'm assuming none of this will exist in the next couple of years. Lots of barley, leaning over, but inside, if I focus, inside, very small pebble, so underdeveloped, even though this area had a lot more rain, so the barley is again much higher. But yeah, nothing surprising regarding because of the weather. There was less rain. But there's taller barley here. I'm just getting close to whatever's nearby because I could see what's going on here. Lots of oats up here in the north. Lots and lots of oats. We had the same situation where I live, near Mount Carmel. This one's maybe even a little bit better. Again, you have the same thing. It's very thin, no plump whatsoever. So again, if there was rain, this would be really good, nice Aviv. Because of the lack of rain, this hasn't developed properly. Well, it's pretty consistent. This way you have to check every year, and we do try sometimes other areas just to get an idea. I mean, it's very pretty in there. They're tilting, but it's mostly because they're just basically dying. They're not going to develop beyond this. Again, as I said, if it was more rain, this would be nice and plump, and the stage of probably just past Aviv. But again, with more rain, and this is going to shatter in literally. I mean, some of this is already shattered. But again, let's see if I flick it. No, but it falls apart. It won't shatter completely. Give it another couple of days and it will shatter, but it's already in that state where they separate like this and then just fly away and they continue seeding. If there was more rain, this would be Aviv, but because there's no rain, well, there was very little rain this year, you get that reality where it just dries up because it wants to survive, so it spreads its seed everywhere. Okay, so Beit Shean area, weather's actually beautiful. It's very hot when we went to the Negev. Now it's very cool. Temperatures have seriously dropped. And that's the thing. The weather's been very strange. It's very cold but no rain, and then it's hot and then it rains. And that takes its toll on the agriculture. We are at Tel Israel, the ancient Israelite capital, the Northern Kingdom. We have barley here, mostly dough stage. Okay, seen the dough stage before. Lots of barley, very nice amounts of barley. But here in this area where there's a lot more rain, so you get this, you get barley in the dough stage just before Aviv. There you go. You squeeze it, stuff comes out of it. So it's basically very moist, which is something we expect in this area. Okay, we're not far away from the other end. Last week I went out, actually a week and a half ago, I went out to the other end of the Israel Valley, and it was the same situation. So again, as you can see, the rain affects. North is more wet. This has grown very nicely. It has a nice height to it. Oh.